Come on, maybe go out. Hello everyone. Hope I'm audible. My name is Marilyn. I'm a Microsoft Line Ambassador. So welcome to Breaking into Tech with Python. We're so excited to see you on board. We'll be getting started in a few as we wait for more amazing people to join us. In the meantime, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us your name, you're tuning in from, then what school or organization you're part of, and let us get to know each other as we wait for more amazing people to join us on board. Okay, I guess we can start. So again, a very warm welcome to Breaking into Tech with Python. We're so excited to have you join us today. My name is Marilyn, and I'll be your host and also moderator for this exciting session. I'm a passionate tech person and a proud MLSA, and I'm so happy, to get you through today's conversation as we dive into how Python can open doors in tech. So whether you're starting out or looking to level up, so before we get started, as I said earlier, let's let up the chat. Tell us where you are joining us from, maybe school, university, or organization. We'd love to hear who's in the room. So feel free to drop your name and maybe even your favorite tech stack or why you're interested in learning Python. Yeah. So joining us today is someone who is not only fluent in Python but speaks the language in data and AI like a pro. So please help me welcome our amazing speaker, Evans Mutuku. He's a data analyst and also an AI trainer at Powerland Project. Yeah, he has been on the front line of tech, helping young minds across the country. So unlock the power of data and AI. So whether it makes sense of complex data sets or getting learners into the world of machine learning, it brings the perfect mix of knowledge, passion, and real world experience. So guys, help me welcome Evans Mutuku. Is our guest speaker for today. So Evans, welcome. A minute, guys, are going to be back in a few. A minute to solve an issue we have here.
Well, hi guys, how are you? Doing well. I had some changes in audio. It's fine now. So just a moment, I verified something. Okay, I hope you can still hear me, guys. If you can hear me, you can type on the Q&A. If you can hear me, you can just tell me something on the Q&A before we start. Just want to confirm that I'm audible. Thank you, Mary. So my name is Evans Mutuku. I'm an instructor at Powerland Project, so that's what I do on daily basis. On the other side, I'm also a developer with now 7 years of experience in software development. I've done several stacks, several technologies, and also in different fields. I'm a full stack developer focusing on JavaScript and everything to do with JavaScript and the JavaScript ecosystem. That is the normal JavaScript, TypeScript, Node.js, React.js, and also I have a very good knowledge in Vue.js. So that's my side of JavaScript. I'm also a Python developer. Of course, I do machine learning and AI, a lot of AI, developing AI tools, working with different AI tools. Yeah, so today we are going to look into that, specifically Python, all the way from beginning to becoming an expert and how you can automate your stuff. You can do data analysis with Python. I'm also a data analyst at where I work at Powerland Project. So I have done data analyst for over 2 years now as the senior data analyst at Powerland Project. So I'm just waiting for something. Yeah, waiting for Mary to share the document, to present the document that we are going to look into so that I can guide you on how you can become a JavaScript, Python developer. Sorry, I'm confusing JavaScript and Python. A Python developer from beginner level all the way to advanced level, and also take you through my journey into Python, why I choose Python on daily basis, how I learned Python, and what I've done with Python. And also you can check, or I'll guide you on how you can also become one of the good Python developers and some of the tools that you are going to use or tools that you can use, applications that you can build, systems that you can automate, and that kind of stuff. So we are going to look into that. So once the presentation starts, once Mary, you are good with the presentation, let me know.
Hope you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, you can react kindly.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think it's now on. So what we are going to look at, we are going to look into breaking into tech with specifically Python. We are going to know why Python and how can you use Python to benefit yourself and all those kind of information. Mary, you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so these are the things that we are going to be covering today, and feel free to ask me any questions. And I think, Mary, you can also enable the chat. I think the chat is enabled. Everyone um, can now ask any question on the chat, and also on the Q&A. Feel free to ask any question. Feel free to interact with me, and I'm open. Just keep the questions coming on the Q&A, the chat, that kind of a thing. So we are going to look into my journey into tech, and also into Python. We're also going to look why Python specifically. We're going to explore different Python tools. We are going to see some of automations, Python automations, and some tasks that you can automate with Python. We are going to check, of course, Python roadmap, and we are going to welcome Q&A section that we are going to check it. You can go to the next slide. Okay, just as I said, my name is Evans Mutuku, and most of people who know me, they refer me as JS Daddy because that's my primary stack, but I'm fully into Python over 4 years now, teaching Python and also developing AI tools with Python for the organization that I work for. I'm a founder, for those who don't know me, for Prog Skill Academy. You can just check online Prog Skill Academy. We have a bunch of courses there. Some of us who have ever interacted with it, you have a bunch of courses right there. I'm also a full stack developer. I started back in 2018, just after high school 2017. Since 2018 all the way to today, I've been programming mostly. I think out of 365 days per year, I think I've been doing over 300 days consistently. Like over a year, I do 300 days consistently. So I'm a Python instructor. I teach Python at Powerland Project. Also teach AI and machine learning at Powerland Project. And at the same time, I'm also a data analyst at the same company that is Powerland Project. So basically that's me. And I began my journey back in 2018 at St. Paul's University, where I joined to do my diploma in computer science. And there I met a bunch of friends where we were just coding like 10 to 15 hours a day. We meet it at the different rooms. We code like 10 to 15 hours per day. So over there, we used to learn everything, basically everything. So we used to learn Python, we used to learn Java, cybersecurity, PHP, web development, JavaScript. Back then, like 10 to 15 hours a day. So if you are doing that 10 to 15 hours a day coding, so that means at some point you have interacted with so many technologies over a week. So that's where I began, all the way learning the first year, second year of learning how to code. Then in the third year, I discovered my real passion. And my real passion here, I chose two paths. Of course, I tried cybersecurity, where I did a bunch of things in cybersecurity. And I discovered my path basically to Python development and also web development, in which web development I've done a really awesome work, I can say that. And also in Python development, I've done some work all the way from 2020, once I discovered my path, all the way to 2025. So whenever we are interacting, just feel be sure that you are in safe hands today. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so because today we are focusing on why Python. First of all, we have to understand why a specific language. Why do we have to choose web? Why do we have to choose Python? Why do we have to choose C? So let's check why do we have to choose Python at this current age. So we are talking about at the current state that we are at the world. Mostly we are talking about AI, we are talking about machine learning, we are talking about all those automation of stuff. So when we talk about those different kind of stuff, we are talking about automation. And basically, the language that can fit the current world is Python. So why Python in general? Python works in mostly everywhere, mostly everywhere. You can use web development. You can use Python to do web development. You can choose Python to do things like automation, and we are going to dive deeper into the automation and see what can you automate and really what can you automate with Python. Python is used everywhere in data analysis. We are going to check a bunch of tools that we can use in data analysis. And also Python is used in machine learning. We are going to also see a bunch of tools that you can use when it comes to machine learning and how can you start your journey into machine learning. And of course, how you can do Internet of Things with Python. For example, back in then when I was learning Python, I didn't learn Python to do web development, data analysis, and machine learning. First of all, I was working to do things like automation. I remember back then, 2020, yeah, 2020, 2019, 2020, I created a program where I automated my small house. How did I automate that? With IoT, I created a simple script that I can run into my phone. And of course, I used this tool. This kit is called Arduino. You see, for example, you have seen people opening their doors automatically. So what I did, I took that Arduino, then I added some things like a small robot where I can just run that script on my phone, then it can slide and open the door for me. It's just a simple thing that I can tell, open the door and open at this angle. You just program some few angles like 20 degrees, 30 degrees, things like that. So once it opens, it doesn't, the Arduino doesn't keep on moving. That's more automation, doesn't keep moving until it hits the wall. So you just program and create that Casimbo script, and then it just opens like 20, 30 degrees. Assume that you are drawing a circle and you know something in flat is 180 degrees. So let's assume that is 0. Now start drawing that circle from that point. Now you can calculate degrees. So I can just tell my door, open, don't open 180 degrees, of course 90 degrees, just open like 20 degrees, somewhere there where I can just go into. So that's what I learned Python to do. And that's how, first of all, I interacted with Python doing the real automation. Then later, as I learned, I just realized we can do so many things with Python. Because my mostly I've spent most of my programming life teaching other people how to code. Of course, I landed into web development with Python. Where in web development with Python, we have where you can venture into. You can venture into web development with technologies like Flask, technologies like Django, in which these applications or these technologies or frameworks, you can just basically create a backend fully powered with Python, or by Python. Then the front end side of the application is using the normal technologies. You can use any technology for creating web applications. That is React, normal HTML, Vue.js, Next.js, and then the backend you power with Python, with Flask, with Django, those kind of tools. So Python is used widely in most of these fields. You can use in web development, where you can use Django, you can use Flask. You can do automations. Automations, when people hear about automations, we tend to confuse. So what are we automate? First of all, we have to know what are we really automating. Are we automating a hardware, or are we automating software? So when we talk about automating software in this side, you just create a bunch of scripts. A script that can do what? For example, let's say, for example, the moment that you are registering into this meeting, you registered. Then after some time, when the meeting is 1 hour to the meeting, you got a notification, right? Now you can automate such kind of software where once person registers into a meeting, the data is stored in the backend. Now you can trigger a script or an automation right there with Python backend. Then it will calculate when was this meeting set, exactly 4 p.m. Then 1 hour before, check all the list of people in the backend for those who have registered into that meeting. Then send them, you know what, the meeting is about to start. Kindly make sure that you attend. So that's an automation that you can do. You can write scripts to automate certain tasks when it comes to automation. For example, nowadays we are talking about AI, creating AI agents. Now, for example, you have seen these website builders. In these website builders, like Lovable AI, Bold, Base 44, and all those other platforms. So what happens behind the scenes is someone just writes the prompt here. For example, create a simple web application for me, and then it will trigger and create the website. So what happens behind the scenes? You have a certain way of automation going behind the scenes. So I'll create that and submit and just click send, and it goes to the backend. Now from the backend, the automation that comes here is actually trying to understand what is this person doing, or what kind of a website do you want to create. Then it will try to figure out by itself. Then it can create the website. Then before it creates the website, just ignore the part where it's creating the website. Now, taking the website from now, it has been created in the backend, and pushing it now for people to see, we have a certain automation that has been done. So that takes us to this concept, we call it machine learning and AI. No, most of these tools are using AI, and they are using bunch of models that have been developed. So how does this machine learning, for example, work when it comes to Python? So let's take the scenario for a tool like Lovable AI. If you have not heard about Lovable AI, just go and check it out. Just a normal something, the way you can love someone. So Lovable, something, just type like that, Lovable AI, or bolt.new. That is BOLT, bolt.new. So behind the scenes, they have they have connected with a bunch of models. Now let's go back to here, automation, so that we can link with machine learning. So let's say I prompt this website and tell it build for me this and that. Okay. So once I prompt it, it will go to the backend. Now to the backend, it will understand that simple paragraph that I've written with machine learning. So the machine does what? We have a bunch of information stored somewhere in that model, or in that big, let's call it a big database first of all. So it will go to that big database in which it's a model. Then it will try to interpret what is this person requesting for. When we check at our system, can we find something like this, or can we build something like this? Then if it figures out, then it will take that website that it has created by itself. Then it will draw to this automation. Then we'll see your website has been created. So we are going to check machine learning in deep. So I'm just giving small, simple scenarios when it comes to um, these concepts. Why Python and how can you use Python? So also Python is used in data analysis. For example, if you have ever tried data analysis at some point. So what is data analysis first of all? Data analysis is we have several ways of data analysis or several concepts when it comes to data analysis. You're going to look into them, so don't worry. So data analysis, let me give a scenario. For example, in your institution that you are at, we have your students' records. So your student records are being stored somewhere in a database. Remember that in this institution you are at, you're not only doing one activity, you are doing a bunch of activities. You're playing sports, you are going into class. Remember, in class, we have several units, we have several semesters. So you have given, let's say now you have been told, analyze this data for this certain student to see, since this student joined this institution day one, what kind of information do we have for this particular student? Now, you link all those data from day one all the way to the current position or the current time we are at. I will know this learner plays football. This is the frequency in which this learner has attended different games. This is the learner results. This is the learner activities. This is the mode of paying fees. So, for example, now I've been given, let's say, a specific learner like Gungun. So, Gungun has played all those kind of sports. Gungun prefers paying his school fees with Visa card or with bank transfers. At some point, so that is a specific learner, that is Gungun. So we have a bunch of learners. So I can be assigned as a data analyst to determine what is the most common way of learners paying their fees and how is the frequency of paying these fees and what amount. Per semester, we have different, we have this time span. When you are beginning the semester, in the middle, and the pressure at the end when we are completing the semester. So with that period of time, when is the best time that the university makes more money? So in data analysis, you can determine all those kind of stuff. So your task is basically giving out information, giving out results. So how do we know that in COVID-19 affected a number of people and affected mostly this location? And it can predict with the amount of data that we have collected. Now the next time or in the next 2 months, COVID-19 is going to affect this location more than another location. So data analysis is all about data analysis, analyzing data, collecting information, analyzing and giving feedback. For example, where I work at Powerland Project, I work in education technology and mostly it's online. So in data analysis, what I do is take learners' details from day one. How frequently do you access our system? And then from there, how frequent do you submit your assignments? Now from there, I can predict this learner is going to complete this course or this learner is not going to complete this course. So my job as a data analyst is mostly doing prediction and giving the company insights. So the next time that we are recruiting or we are onboarding learners, we know, yes, we have this number, but I can for sure tell from the previous records, we are going to complete 1,000, 3,000 learners. So basically, I use Python to do that data analysis. So with all these concepts, we're going to break into them. So Python is used in platforms like NASA to creating the spaceships and all those kind of automation. Python, of course, is used in YouTube to do the recommendation system, that is the machine learning and the AI. Of course, it's used in your favorite app, that is Netflix, where in Netflix is used to, for example, I watch this certain kind of movies. So of course, the next time a similar movie that is maybe has been released, it can basically tell me, we have this new movie and I really like this movie because it has checked at my previous watch time and also history. Then it can recommend a certain movie for me. So Python is used mostly everywhere and you can't avoid using Python at any chance. Maybe you can go to the next slide. These are some of the tools. These are some of the tools that you can do or you can use to um, to do the bunch of tasks that we just talked about. Things like the automations in data analysis, in machine learning, in presenting AI, AI tools, and all those kind of stuff. So, for those who have never heard about this tool, that is Jupyter. Jupyter is just like a platform. It's a platform where actually you can write code. You can write code to do data analysis, also sometimes to do machine learning and all those kind of programs. Let's say, for example, I've been given data to analyze for students' performance. I'll take that data into Jupyter. Then I just upload either that CSV. I can just write a small or few lines of code. Then from the few lines of code that I write, I can get the students' data insights. How frequent are these learners? How many learners do we have from this country? How many learners do we have from Kiambu? How many learners do we have from places like Bondo? All those kind of stuff. So Jupyter is a tool that, as a data analyst, you can't really avoid. Um, in case you don't want to write your code in Jupyter, you can write your code in Google Colab, the one with the biggest logo, the Google Colab. It's a Google Colab. Google Colab, you can use it to write a bunch of technologies like Python and stuff. You can write print hello world simple stuff with Google Colab. And actually, in case you are doing machine learning, AI, just more bunch of codes, you can also use Google Colab. It's a tool that you guys need to go and check. It's an online tool. You don't have to install it. It's an online tool, website that you can use uh, to write some code. I wish my machine could share. So, but unfortunately, it can't share. I don't know why. I could have shown you how to basically use this tool that is Google Colab, and all these other tools that we see over here. So another tool that we can use. Now, let's talk about some technical stuff. Things like TensorFlow. The TF, this thing you see with the TF, this one here, this big one, the one on top of Google Colab. That is a tool, library mostly, that you can use to do a bunch of tasks, to do data analysis and also to do AI. So we use these tools basically to, let me just give an example of what I do. when using these tools. For example, I don't want to do the basic data analysis with Jupyter, Google Colab. No, not Google Colab, but Jupyter, and just writing small Python scripts. I want to take my automation or my AI a step further. So I can use these Python libraries, that is TensorFlow and PyTorch, to basically tell this library, you know what, I have this bunch of data here. And in this bunch of data, I want to extract some certain information. How? Let's just go back to the students example that we gave. Yes, I've been given this data for these students. I know all their history, all the activities that they do in this institution. Now, I want to do a better prediction for the next 1 year. I can use TensorFlow. I feed it with this data that we have. Then I can tell this TensorFlow, you know what, we have this bunch of data. It's a lot of data. Figure out by yourself how has been everything going on in this institution according to these learners. So these learners do what? This is the time that we don't make money from these learners. This is the time when most of these learners are performing well. Based on what? Based on the type of lecturers or the lecturers that are handling that semester, based on the weather conditions in that particular area, based on the policies that we have or anything that is going on the government that is interrupting the learning or is supporting the learning. So remember, you have a bunch of things that affect you as a learner. School fees, the lecturer is teaching, the government, everything is affecting you, considering all those factors. And I have information. I can tell from all those bunch of things that affect you, I can tell, yes, for the past 2 years, this learner or this bunch of learners, they have been facing these problems because of this and this. Now, if I feed all those that information and I just write some few scripts with TensorFlow, automatically I can tell this is the behavior. So whenever you are learning machine learning AI, make sure that you check on tools like TensorFlow. So TensorFlow and PyTorch is a library that you can use and to train your models, to write some code, everything. So we have this another tool that is called Pandas. Pandas is a library that is used to do let me call it data formatting or cleaning. Now assume that I've been given a bunch of details for this specific student, that is Marilyn. We've been given one sheet with Marilyn email and full name. Another sheet with only email and this learner score. Okay, and this learner score. I've been given another bunch of data with the sports that she plays, right? Now, you see all this information is not consistent. So I'll use pandas, first of all, to delete all unnecessary information, all the data that has been repeated or duplicates. I'll use pandas to do the data cleaning. It's just writing a bunch of Python scripts and tell what we have all this information. Check this information. If we have any repeated email, delete it, then merge or combine this data from email, full name, gender, education level, all those kind of stuff, nationality, the sports that you play, and then just make the data clean. So Pandas is a library that is used for data cleaning. The other tool that we can check it is matplotlib. Matplotlib is tool that is mostly used at. Let's now we have cleaned the data with pandas. How? We have merged everything and our data is clean. We know that in this data that we have been given, you only have one gungun, and we can get all the details for gungun. Let's say I have gungun and another student and another student, another person. I want now to do something called presentation. Presentation is where you are drawing graphs, things like graphs. Use matplotlib to draw those graphs, pie charts, all those kind of presentation. So matplotlib will take now the numbers that is, let's say in the first year, we had 300 learners. Second year, we have 150. Third year, we have 700. Now you see, whenever you are drawing a graph, we'll have some variations. So it will basically take this data, then it will draw those graphs automatically. Just one line of code, and then you have all your graphs for your data displayed. So
that person who will go through the journey. And the mentor, I usually advise.
I think there's someone who is has some device that is speaking here. Thank you. So that is pandas, matplotlib, Jupyter, TensorFlow for data analysis. Okay, so now let's say that we want to do something with machine learning. So what is machine learning, first of all, for those who maybe don't have an idea of what is machine learning? Machine learning, first of all, we have talked about data analysis. So first of all, machine depends on data. So I will check, for example, now let's take it a step further, things like ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, we have, let's say we have one way of writing a function, and we have that information. We have this code for writing a function. We have another way of writing a function, another way of writing a function, like 1,000 ways of writing a function. And these functions are described. So in machine learning, I will take that bunch of information, maybe that I've analyzed with pandas first of all and cleaned it. Then I'll write a bunch of code with tools like the scikit-learn. Then let's use the example of ChatGPT. Then I can just create a simple front end where people can search, write for me a function to do this and that and that. Forward that information to this information here, this bunch of data that has been trained. So this data has been trained to figure out what do I mean by a function to calculate the sum of two numbers. How do I write a function for a login system? So these machines have been trained with a bunch of information that understands, yes, this is how we do certain things. This is how we do certain things. So basically, this is just a machine with a bunch of information that can do some lots and lots of stuff. So what is the process of a machine learning? First of all, we are talking everything to do with data. So you have to have a lot of data, a lot of information about a certain things. For example, let me give another example that we can all understand. We have the Google Translator, where I can speak in English, then I can interpret that into Swahili, into Chinese. So what happens here in machine learning? So we have bunch and bunch of data to do with English. All the words that we have in English. This data can be in two different ways. It can either be a text or it can be audio. And this is specifically English. So of course we know if we say hello in English, of course we have a way of saying hello in Swahili. Now let's take this other data set for conversation in Swahili, audio and text. Now machine learning here understands if I say hello in English, can I go to this other side and know how to respond that in Swahili and without failing? So basically machine learning in layman's language does that kind of dirty stuff. Go to the machine, check from the bunch of list of information that we have or bunch of data, see basically which fits your interpretation for example, the Google Translator. And that can be either audio or basically text, and it can know the best way to answer. When you talk about machine learning, you say the more information or the more data we have, the more accurate these systems get. Because, for example, if we know several ways of saying hello world or hello, so it can go and interpret the best way that it's going to answer. And basically machine learning, when we talk about machine learning, we talk about mimicking human behavior. Machine learning or machines trying to mimic human behavior. So human behaviors are like when I ask you how are you doing, you have to respond to me. You are doing good, you are not good, do good, those kind of stuff. So machines basically mimicking human behaviors. So how do you contribute to machine learning? Of course, we provide it with a bunch of information contributing to open source products, working with open source tools. Now, let's say things like ChatGPT. We are talking about machine learning here, right? But what if I want to create a user interface for people to come and use my machine, to use my tool that I've created, the AI tool that I've created? So you can use tools like Streamlit. Streamlit is just like a tool where, um, let's say you want to create the user interface for ChatGPT. You can create that with Streamlit. You can just write a bunch of code and tell it, you know what, create a sidebar, create that user input or that user input, then you do some stuff. Or let's say you have worked some internal tools like collecting the COVID-19 data, for example, or we understand that. How can we present this data to the government? You can use a tool like Streamlit to create a simple user interface for this particular data, the AI tool that you just worked on. So Streamlit is a tool that you can use to create front end for AI tools. And I wish my machine could have shared. So Marilyn, if in case you figure out how I can share my screen, I can bunch these, I can demo these tools that I'm talking about. And of course, Streamlit, instead of using Streamlit, you can use a tool called Gradio. Gradio, when we say Streamlit and Gradio is the same tool, it's just like when we are talking about, you can use VS Code or you can use Casa AI, still the same tool. So it's up to one to decide which tool to use. And of course, I recommend Streamlit. It's very, very, very easy to try out. Maybe you can go to the next slide. But in case you have any questions, guys, feel free to ask on the chat. Okay, let's check at some automations that you can do with Python. Automations that you can do with Python. One automation that you can do is automate auto-generate Excel reports from data. So yeah, let's say you are a data analyst and you want to automate that generation of reports, you can do that with Python. Another automation is things like scheduling and sending bulk emails. Now, have you ever wondered how your institution sends emails? And these emails, they come with your name, they come with your details specifically. Does it mean the person who is sending emails, if you have ever tried sending emails the normal way, does it mean they just go and sit and write specifically email? They write for Marilyn, they write for Gungun, they write for another person and send it one by one. Basically, no. So we have automations where, for example, I have this list of 10 learners and I have their emails and their name. So I can automate sending that bulk email at once. Yeah, now I can share my screen, but I'll share later to demo. Thank you. So you can schedule those kind of tasks. For example, another example that I can give you for automation. Have you ever seen this feature? If you have ever paid attention, if you have signed up into a new platform that you have never signed into, you get an email back immediately after signing up. So you can automate that backend with Python and send in those bulk emails. So once someone joins my platform, automatically they get an email. How do you do that? Basically, you can automate that with Python backend tools. And let's say you are working in an organization where you can send or where people are communicating through emails. So these emails, most of us miss emails, but how can we automate this task? I can automate that. Whenever I receive an email, why can't I just connect my Gmail and WhatsApp such that I can get an email, then it forwards to me a message telling me that, you know what, so and so has texted you or has sent you an email, and this is the title of the email, or this is the task, or the email says this and that. Because most of us, we are on WhatsApp on daily basis. So yeah, you can automate that basically with Python. And yes, I've automated bunch of tasks. So everything that I'm talking about here, automation, is something that I've basically done. You can build chatbots for customer services. You can build chatbots for customer services. So what kind of chatbot? For example, for those who have ever worked with APIs, you can use, for example, ChatGPT API, those AI tools that you can basically use the API and then you can create a customer service chatbot. Where, for example, let's say I'm into medicine, people can just come into my platform and ask, I'm suffering from headache. So how can I cure this, or can I be good into this, or how can I feel good? So the chatbot, can basically tell me, you know what? We have several recommendations. Drink a lot of water, take this kind of medicine. But before that, how did the headache Sorry guys, my machine just disconnected. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, let me know.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So we have other automations that you can do, like data extraction from websites. Now, let's say I want to extract how people are behaving, like customer behaviors, like I'm into the education technology. How do people behave over the internet? How frequently do nowadays people buy online courses? What if I do data scrapping from websites like Coursera and all those other different websites and see, this is how people are joining these other platforms. Why are they joining in those other platforms and not mine? So I can do data scrapping or data extraction. Then I can see, yes, this is the information that I needed. Now I can tailor my my website or my product to fit the market standards for other services. For example, if I want to do purchasing of products online, so what if I want to know the kind of machines that is at the cheapest in the market, but it's a good machine? Why can't I just scrap the data? And if I scrap the data, I store it in my database, I can get a notification. Yeah, you know what? We have this good deal that has been posted on Amazon. Do you mind checking it out? So, yeah. So you can do automations like data extractions, things like that. You can do things like daily backups from APIs like Google Sheets and all, and a bunch of stuff that you can do. And I will show, yes, now my machine is sharing. I will show you these tools that I'm talking about. So we can check another thing in case you are wondering now you are a beginner. Where can you start with all that information that we just talked about? So where can you start as a beginner? So first of all, you have to know the path that you want to go into. All these paths are based on introduction to Python. So introduction to Python, in case you want to know, we have talked about machine learning, AI, data analysis, building web applications. So where can you start? Where can you start? Now, you can start by learning the introduction to Python, getting the basics first. So getting the basics first means understanding how programming languages work. How do they really work? How does a machine understand code? How do functions work? Basic functions work. How do loops work? I want to create this kind of a system. What best loop can I use? Can I use a for loop? Or what other loop can I basically use? So you have to understand the basics first. You have to understand the basics first of all. Get the basics right. Understand everything in the basics. You don't have to memorize every single syntax of the technology that is Python. You don't have to understand. You don't have to memorize how to write loops. Basically, understand how loops work. If you know how loops work, then there now you are set to go. Just make sure that you understand how these things work. The basics. How do we write a basic Python functions? How do functions work? How do basic libraries work? How does the math library work? All the basic kind of things. So you have to understand the basics first. Now, once you have good understanding of the basics, and you have built a bunch of projects like simple calculators, ATM automations, all those basic automations. Now you can decide to choose your career. So before you choose your career, I said you just have to understand the basics. So in Python, we have different career opportunities. We have, for example, data analysis. We have machine learning. We have AI. We have web development. So for today, we are going to focus on these main three because these are the booming specializations or career paths most of us can take at the moment and what the market is really looking for. So in data analysis, what you need to know, you need to know basic pandas, and we said pandas is how to clean data, data cleaning, data formatting, and that kind of stuff. Matplotlib is all about presentation. It's all about presentation. So make sure that you understand how to do presentation. And presentation, for example, you have seen all these slides, how I've done these slides. Like for example, you can see they are very good looking. So Matplotlib is about presentation. So what best graph can I use to explain this kind of information? So you have to understand, you have to be good in presentation. You have to understand tools like NumPy, working with numbers, basically, how can I compute this? How can I compute basic sum? How can I minus? How can I do simple mathematics with Python? Just write in those Python stuff to do just working with basically numbers. And if you are into data analysis, you have to know SQL. You have to know how to work with databases. Why? Because mostly you'll be working with data. And where do we store our data? Or where do we store data? Working with SQL in our databases. So databases are, it's a very core concept or core tool that you have to know in case you have to, or in case you want to be good in data analysis. So make sure that you know how to write SQL. Also, at some point, you'll be required to fetch data from database all the way to maybe your spreadsheets, or maybe to download that data. How do you download that data? Or how do you fetch that data? Or how do you send the data back to the database after analysis? So you have to know SQL. You have to have some solid skills when it comes to SQL and writing SQL. So in case you don't want to do data analysis and you want to use Python for machine learning, it's very cool. You have to understand data cleaning, in which, as you can see, this machine learning, it's borrowing some concepts or some skills from data analysis. So if you want to do machine learning, you have to know some basic data analysis skills. For example, like data cleaning, you have to know data cleaning. You have to understand things like model evaluation. So model evaluation, in case you don't know what is model evaluation, I can give examples. Let's say I'm working with text data. And this text data, I want to create a tool like ChatGPT that is focused on general things. Or I want to work with tool that does what? Speech recognition. So you have to know which model you can use to work with your machine. So you have to select a bunch of models. And then in these models, you can basically do some evaluation. Some evaluation is just like I've analyzed some data for the example that we gave. Then after analyzing some data, I can evaluate this data. How effective is this tool? For example, if you are creating a web application, you have to evaluate. If I use Python or I use another different tool, no more evaluation. Which is the best tool that I can use? So in machine learning, you have to evaluate the model. Which model is best? Model selection and evaluation. Which is the best tool that you can use, or model that you can basically use? So model evaluation, you can use things like the scikit-learn, the random forest, all those different models. So you have to choose which model. What is model training when it comes to machine learning? In case you don't know what is model training, it's like now you have you have your bunch of data, you have bunch of information. This is the process of, for example, the speech or the language interpretation. If I speak in, I say hello. How do you evaluate that, or how do you answer that in Swahili? Now that is the process. You choose the model that you chose. Now you can train your model with that with this step that is called model training. And if your tool is ready, of course we give it to the public to use. That is deployment. But in case you don't want to venture into data analysis, don't want to venture into machine learning, but you want to still be in Python, you can choose to do AI development. And AI development is basically doing what? Doing things like deep learning, computer visions, natural language processing, working with LLMs, large language models, in which, of course, to work with AI at some point, you also need to know machine learning. And we have seen machine learning, it's also borrowing some few concepts from data analysis. So you can venture into AI or into AI development. That is the computer visions, those training, those robots, those kind of stuff. And of course, in case now you want to be very, very good in these things that we are talking about, you have to build projects, of course. How do you become a good web developer? Because you have built a bunch of websites. How do you become a good teacher? Because you have taught so many years. How do you become a good driver? Of course, because you have good experience in driving different kind of cars. How do you become good in Python? Of course, you have to build several projects. Just build a bunch of projects. They don't have to make sense. First of all, they don't have to make sense. But remember, the end goal is to learn. The end goal is to understand this. The end goal is to be good at this. So you have to build a bunch of projects, a bunch of problems that you have to solve so that you can really be good into this. But of course, in case you don't want all these career sides of Python, you can decide to go into web development with Python, in which you'll do technologies like Django and Flask. So that is the basic roadmap that you can follow when it comes to Python. And maybe you're asking yourself, how long does it take to come from here all the way to, let's say, stage number 4? How long does it take you from here to here? Now that's where the trick is. You need several things. First of all, you need to understand where you want to be. Do you want to be here? Focus on that. Learn the basics. Learn the basics of data analysis. Then go back to here. Don't keep that dilly-dallying, learning this technology, learning this because people are hyping on this. You just need to have a good roadmap. And actually, it can take you from Python basics all the way to machine learning in 6 months, learning the basics and creating these basic AI tools. And actually, getting a job at 6 months to 1 year of learning machine learning and AI. So it doesn't take long. You just need to have or to know the path that you want to venture into. So it doesn't take long. Doing data analysis is one of the simplest things that you can do with Python. It can take you around 6 months of some serious dedication. Let's say you take one day, every single day you are there like 2-3 hours a day. Like it must be like something like a culture. You see the way you must eat. You see the way you must eat. Of course, you must code for 2 to 3 hours. For that, you can move fast into these into these basic or these steps. And of course, we have said, in case you want to be good in everything, you have to learn, you have to dedicate time in learning, and you have to build the tools, the project, and everything. And how do people know that you know how to do this? You share to them. What do you share? The projects that you have talked about. The projects, the projects that you talk about. So make sure that you share the projects that you have developed. Don't be shy. Don't be shy in sharing your projects. For example, whenever I was learning together with my friends, I could develop some basic program, were very basic, but I could share with my friends. And if I share with my friends, they are going to correct me. If they correct me, tomorrow I'm going to be better. If they share their project, I'll see, this guy is doing this and that. Why can't I tomorrow do the same that this guy is doing? Because we kept on sharing, because we share. Even if I create a simple feature in my projects, I always share everywhere on WhatsApp, everywhere, LinkedIn. Make sure that you share. And where do you share this? Now, you can ask yourself, where do you share this? You can share this in different places. Make sure that you have a LinkedIn account. Maybe you don't have a lot of connection, but make sure that you share this on LinkedIn. Why? When you share this in long term, it's going to give you a better algorithm. Let's say people are hiring in certain field, but I've been sharing on this. LinkedIn, of course, it's going to favor me. The LinkedIn algorithm, of course, is going to favor me and put me on top because I've been sharing this. I've been consistent. I've been consistent in sharing this. The more information I have out there, the more people are going to know about me. And the more my project, the more recruiters, they are going to know about me. And the more opportunities that I'm going to get. So make sure that you learn, you build, and you share. And that's it. But before we leave, let me just show you some tools that we are talking about. Is This is Google Colab. This is Google Colab. In case you want to know how can you use Google Colab, this is Google Colab here. Just go to collab.research.google. It's a Google tool developed by Google, so we can trust it. For example, what am I doing here? I'm using TensorFlow and using NumPy just to do some basic prediction of some data here, just knowing how things are faring here. Just simple code that is monitoring. For example, here is a code for monitoring some health rates, some heart rate monitoring tool. So what if I link this into an IoT device? I can monitor my health, my heart rate, thing kind of a thing. I can monitor my blood pressure. I can monitor my heart rate, the speed, and everything. Yeah. So this is Google Colab that you can check it out. And of course, you can check I want to share Streamlit. Why is this showing here? Thank you. For example, you can check, this is Streamlit. And you can see in Streamlit, for example, I have this data here that behind the scenes of this beautiful website is a small thing. It's just like 100 lines of code, Python code. Then I can get all this bunch of information. Of course, this is AI-powered health analysis detection. For example, what can we do? You can just take the number of users and you can see it's changing everything right here. So these are the tools that I was talking about. The Streamlit that you can deploy your AI models into here. For example, this is just random data for training these AI tools. What other tool did we talk about so that I can show you? Let me check. Quick one. Collab. Matplotlib is a library that you can check it out. And all these are just basic libraries, but Google Colab and Streamlit, these are tools that you can check them out. So yeah, any question? I can welcome that time for questions.
Thank you, Evans. Anyone with any question can type it in the chat section or just raise your hand or unmute your mic and ask the question. Or you have any comment to our speaker, you can also unmute or just type in the chat section. Okay, thank you so much, Evans, for such an insightful session and impactful one. I believe everyone has benefited because I have benefited. You've really broken down like the topics in a way that's easy to understand and relate. We really gain so much knowledge from you, and I believe everyone has taken away something valuable. Uh, yes, so I believe so. If there is no any question, yeah, or someone has asked if we will get the recordings. Yeah, I'll share the recordings via email. Yes, I'll share form that I've created, some details, that is your name plus every attendee will get a certificate of participation. So yes, kindly submit your details if you want to get a certificate. And also, before we end the event, kindly note that we will receive those certification, and also we're going to have touch sessions after every 1 week. So we are going, this was actually, we are launching a Python study jam for like 2 months. So this one was just sort of a launch for the study jam that we're going to have for the next 2 months. So after every 1 week, we are going to have a session on Python, and we are going to have different speakers from Microsoft, from Google, also from Safaricom. So stay tuned. Yes, and register for the next session. I'm going to create the event after this. Make sure you register. Yes, the next session you're going to have some ambassadors from Microsoft and also some speakers from Microsoft. Yes, so if you have any inquiry or any question, just feel free. Reach out via email or via WhatsApp. Yeah, I'll be able to answer all your questions. So yeah, that's it for today. Yeah.
Question.
Yes, yeah, sure. You can ask.
I had a question for the presenter Evans. I posted it in the chat, but it seems it's not visible. So I wanted to say thank you for the presentation, and I wanted to ask Evans, how can someone know when they are good enough in Python development, and is it when they can build something without the help of AI? And are there any courses or platforms that you can recommend for people to study and get to be good in Python? And then how can one test if they are good enough? Thanks.
Thank you for that question. For the platforms that you can use to learn Python, we have so many. You can check Coursera, of course. Personally, I learned a lot from YouTube because those times, I think 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't know how to use AI to learn. So you can take a bunch of courses. Of course, for example, we have online courses, online platforms like, for example, where I work, that is Powerland Project. We offer free courses, that is for 4 months, and 4 months in Python we learn basic Python, of course, machine learning and AI. So there, people get support, and we have other platforms like though Moringa is paying, you have to pay, and Coursera, of course. And how do you know that you are good in something? Is it when you can't use AI? Of course. Uh, for example, you have to get resources. You have to get learning resources. Learning resources, you can get them everywhere. YouTube, everywhere. Online, in different bunch of courses. So you have to use AI, of course. We are in the current state where we are using AI. So you can't avoid using AI so that you know that you are good into, or you are good in Python. So you have to use AI. So don't feel that you are doing wrong when you are using AI. I said when you are beginning learning, understand the concepts. Do I know how to write functions? First, do I understand how functions work? If yes, I'm fine. Do I know? Do I understand how to write functions? Yes. But do I know how to write it at the moment? No. Am I wrong? I'm right. I just need to understand how functions work. You don't have to memorize writing the code. So how do you know that you are good in it? The moment that you just understand how things work. The moment that you understand how login systems work, how machine learning works. I don't know how to create machine learning tools, but I understand how things work. The moment you understand how things work, that's the moment that you can say, yes, I know how these things work and I'm good in this. And I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Evans, we have another question from another guy called Evans. Is it such
Mhm.
necessary to know more about backend even though you know more on AI?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Is it such necessary to know more about backend even though you know more on AI?
Yeah, it's necessary to know because when we are talking about AI, we are talking about developing behind the scenes of how these systems work. So you have to understand mostly how backends work because that's where the trigger happens. How do you create the automations with the AI? So you have to understand how backend systems work. Basically, just understand how backend systems work. You don't have to be good in writing the backend, just understand how backend systems work.
Okay, we have Jenga. Kindly unmute and ask your question. Okay. Or share where you can share list of certificate. Oh, okay. I've shared a link in the chat section. Um, a form. Kindly just fill in the details, and by the end of tomorrow, you're going to get your certificates. Any other question before we end our meeting? Okay, since there's no any other question, thank you so much, everyone, for taking your time to attend today's session. Your presence, your participation truly made it special. We appreciate your engagement and we hope you found it valuable. Looking forward to seeing you in our future events. So we are going to have our next event after 1 week. I'll share a link for you guys to register. Yeah, so thank you guys once again and may God bless you.
Marilyn, you can't see the chat.
Oh, let me see. Okay. A question or Um,
I say like I do not have access to the chat where you posted the link. We only have
or
Q&A.
Q&A. Oh, sorry.
The chat is disabled, I think.
Let me type. Hope you can see it right now.
No.
Not yet.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So guys, you can submit your details. Yeah.
I cannot
Yes,
see
this
the
one.
chat. I still can't see the chat. It says it's stand off for external people.
What of Q&A?
Let me check. Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen it in the Q&A. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Kwani mimi mzazi wangu, like